Welcome to Talent Talk. Hosted by Fred Scott, author, educator, and founder of TalentFRED, this podcast brings real, unscripted conversations that help you grow and thrive using his talent framework. Triumph, achieve, lead, educate, nurture, and thrive. Fred's got a special guest with him today, so stay locked in and don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Now here's TalentFRED and his guest.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are in for a real treat. We got the Chapmans, and so we got the dad and the son here. And this is my first opportunity to have this kind of forum that will have a father and son. But I think it's going to be wonderful that our listeners and also the audience will get to hear about their story. So let's get started with introductions from Dr. Chapman and his son. So I'll let you go first. You go first. It doesn't make me any difference. So junior or the third.
So again, my name is Thomas Chapman. I am a native of Millard, North Carolina. I currently work at Tidewater Community College as a campus dean and dean of student support services. I have three wonderful children. I have been in the space of mental health, life coaching, teaching for probably over 35 years. So it's all that I really do. I have some other things that I do, but that's the area in which I'm most passionate about. So that's the big part of me.
All right. Three kids, and we get to have the experience of one of them, which
That's
is
right.
your legacy. So let's hear
That's
from him.
right.
Give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So, as mentioned, yeah, I'm the son, and currently I am living in Texas and working as a software engineer for Dell Technologies. And then outside of that, I own a business in which I travel back and forth from Africa to bring artwork back to the States and put on a
Oh,
gallery annually. And then I also lead a nonprofit for it's called Developing Men of Color. So it's for men of color that are in the inner city schools, the elementary level, and then going up to the college level. We have different universities that we help out with, and then the nonprofit level. So those are the three organizations that I'm involved in now.
and your dad was asking me how busy I am as being a solution engineer and author and a speaker, and et cetera. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
look at him. So I want to ask the two of you, because what inspired you guys to write and create, no, not to write, but just to create Quotescriptions, and what makes this book stand out from other quote collections that other people might read?
So I wrote My Bottle of Olive Oil several years ago. And that's a motivational book. It has many of my sayings, quotes, and the format is an inspirational quote, like a little story, and then an application section.
Mm.
And I'm really excited about that work. So as the years went on, and really, I didn't really notice it. It seemed like it just popped up. I see my oldest son in
Oh,
this space doing some of the same work that I do. At VCU, he was working with the mentorship program. I've been doing that for years. And then I would hear him speak and do motivational things. I'm like, where did that, where did that, where did that come from? And
from you.
I was like, oh my God, it just hit me. I'm like, because he was a star athlete, played sports. So I thought he was going to be like just in like an engineer or something in medicine. I just thought that's where he was going to go, not in this space. So when I got a glimpse of that, I was like, we need to do something together. I said, I want to put him on the page with me and give him an opportunity to get some additional exposure. So one of the things, I mean, I'm sure you know this too, Fred, one of the ways to launch yourself is to write a book.
Yeah.
So I wanted to assist him in doing that. And if you look online, you will see that he is doing that. I think he is. I saw a couple of his videos just going viral. So, and you always want your children to do better than you. So I'm humbled and excited. So that was the impetus for doing Quotescriptions. And I know that I had 1,000 quotes, and I know he had quotes. So I said, we can probably put something together that's impactful. And that's exactly what we did.
Anything to add, Junior? Because he said a lot about you.
Yeah.
He's
So
the
I want
third now. Don't forget the third. I'm junior.
Okay, he's junior third. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's
Junior
okay.
third, junior third.
And there's one
That's
more. And there's one more Chapman, my dad. There's three of
yeah.
us.
that's why, I'm a junior and my dad was a senior, and I said I'm not gonna do it to my son because I can't keep up. I was already people were going, "Are you the friend?" And I'm like, but anyway,
It can
let me
get
get back on. Let me get back.
yes, it can
So
get a
to
little
the
tricky. Anyway.
yeah, to the third.
Yeah, so I want to add, like, I also agree. I think that one of the things that makes it different in how the process was going about was that it was really authentic, with the way that he mentioned. I was going to say something similar to where, as I was an athlete up until
Mm,
I got to college, and then, being an athlete, and then, my dad, he talks about, I know he did intramurals and things like that. And so I was like, I thought there was a disconnect. And then, once I opened my eyes and I kind of stepped into VCU and trying new things and becoming, more than just an athlete, then there were traits in which kind of started to shine. When I had the mentorship program and I enjoyed public speaking, I enjoyed motivating and helping out people. And so then I was seeing a lot of alignment, and that's been one of the biggest things is alignment in this point in time in life. And so when my dad asked me about the book, I prefer writing. Like I write all the time. I'll write different quotes, stories, etc., just things that happen in life. And so when he asked, I was already in the midst of writing, just trying to put together like an ebook or something in terms of all the lessons and things that I've learned. And so yeah, when he asked, it was really authentic because it caught it right on time, right in the midst of doing it. And so that's what I think really helps with it. It's not necessarily too far removed from where we currently are. And so I think that gives a good additive to it.
So when I hear words as medicine, what a powerful idea. I mean, that resonated with me when I was reading something from you guys. I'm going to ask the third. I'll start with him. How did you choose the quotes that are in the book? The things that are inspired, that's included in the book. And then I'm gonna ask your dad about the process.
Yeah. So for me, the quotes came from a lot of the experience that I've seen,
Mhm.
mainly from, like I mentioned, the nonprofit organization. That's where I'm mentoring and I'm going into inner city schools in Richmond. I'm helping out from the elementary level to the middle school level to the high school level, kids that are coming from underprivileged backgrounds. And so from there, I was, I'm very open-minded. I like to hear everyone out, and I really like to think about the person in front of me. And so I learned a plethora of things from that, from, the discipline aspect, from where growth happens, from the things in terms of mindfulness. And so, yeah, I came from just being open to a lot of the different life experiences that, I've seen and I've already, wanted to help out with. And so, I like the fact that it's with each kind of section, it goes into a different topic because, I don't think that there's, one shoe fits all in terms of advice that works. Life is a lot of different colors and there's a lot of different ways to, work it out. And so, yeah, it came from a plethora of different experiences. And so it's, we conjoined it in a way that, works and touches on a different facet with each chapter.
Like that. Life has a lot of different colors,
Yeah.
and your father doesn't mind the different colors. So he does not mind.
That's
So I'm
right.
going to ask him about what was your process working with your son in pairing what would be those reflective prompts that you really wanted to accentuate in the book.
So with the quotes already being in existence,
Mhm.
and my background is public school teacher, so I have a way of thinking and processing information and sharing information with people. So the thought behind the reflective prompt is to get people to think about the quote. So this is not a passive book, a passive tool. It's one in which we want people to really sit and process these things, because we know that if you are engaged, you learn more. If
Yeah.
students are engaged, they learn more. So we believe that if readers are engaged versus just passing through, just reading it, that they'll get more. It'll I was sharing with Thomas earlier that hopefully people's brains will be rewired by the way in which they think about things. They think about things differently. They can rewire their brains, because a lot of us, we have some jacked up thinking that causes our lives to be jacked up, and we need to be rewired in order for us to experience life in the way that it was intended to be experienced. So the thought behind the reflective prompt is to really to get people to think about, what did you go through that caused you to feel overwhelmed? And how did you handle that? So get people to reflect, not just kind of pass through that section, but think about that time. So we're hoping that causing people to pause will be helpful in self-development, personal growth.
Absolutely. I think self-reflection is critical.
Yeah,
And I love the fact that you said not to just read it, just read along, just to get along.
that's right. That's right.
And that life has some color, so you can stop to reflect and put your own piece in it. It's great to hear that. And at the beginning, Dr. Chapman, that's the junior,
Right,
he
right,
shared
right.
with us his specialty is mental health and also personal growth. And he's been in the space of education, which are your central themes that you guys have in the book. So can you share? And I'll start with the junior first, like this. I'll let him start and share about a quote from the book that he or both of you found that was um, included in the book and what impacted a difficult time. Because, all of us as men and as people, and our listeners and viewers out there, we want to say to you guys, every person, male and female, all of us have something that we have gone through in the mental space. And also there are things we want to grow from. So share with us which a quote from the book, which you feel that kind of reflects some of your difficult time and how you walk through that space.
You go
That,
first.
Dad.
junior. He said junior, right?
You're junior.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry.
I love it.
Excuse me. You got me.
I love it. I love it. See. Guess what, folks? We
I mean,
all
okay.
make
So,
mistakes,
so here,
especially
here
when
we
you
go.
got
Here
the
we go.
junior.
Sorry. These names. So there are actually two. One is uh, the one about seasons of life change. We have different seasons that we go through, embrace the
Oh,
change. And then
yeah.
the one that talks about calmness cures chaos. So one of the things that I've gathered over the last 5 years in particular is that change is inevitable, and
Oh,
that
yes.
there are things that are going to happen that for me are spiritual, they're purposeful, and you get more out of it when you embrace it. It might be rough, it might be scary, it might be intimidating. But if you link in and you see that this has a purpose, you can grow from it. So one of the things that has been helpful for me is that when different things happen in these different seasons, embracing it helps me to grow more versus fighting, kicking, being mad at people. No,
It
this is
does
my
not.
this is my season. And then with the calmness cures chaos, and there's a section in the book about the breathing technique. And I'm prone to be very anxious. I'm prone to be very 0 to 100. My nervous system just goes. So I know from a mental health standpoint that when you are extremely anxious, you knots in your stomach, whatever, it is hard to perform well. It is hard to do well. So one of the other things that's helped me over the years is to regulate my breathing, regulate myself when I'm in different stressful situations. So when I'm calm, I'm cool, and I'm collected, I get more done. So those are the two, sort of embracing change and then also keeping a cool head.
It's
Keeping a
great to
cool head.
hear. We've been talking about, people been talking about online a lot about mental health and about that mindset, um, and space. And it's great to hear from your expertise about giving an individual some strategies about being calm, that's spiritual, purposeful, and embrace it. And I'm going to share to the audience that I love music, and there's one song that really reminds me about that is the song by Quincy Jones, "Everything Must Change."
Mm.
Nothing stays the same. And what you said about the song, right now, that song is spiritual. It's
Mhm.
very calm. That the musicality is behind it is even. So the words, and it's saying to embrace it. The sun comes from the cloud. I mean, it's just one of those songs. So our listeners, if you've never heard it, might be one to reflect on it. And the breathing techniques. That's what a lot of people. Some people. I mean, I wanted to respond. Go ahead. I want to.
Yeah,
The
it's
third, I want to go at it. I want to go at it. So there you go. So I want to ask the third.
I'm listening now.
Let's talk about the reader's journey. Your dad mentioned some great strategies. You guys have talked about why these words and the quotations quotes are great for medicine, which is a powerful idea. I really want to hear, what do you want the readers to take away from the book? And how do
Yeah.
you think it would envision them in their daily lives? Now, your dad gave a great example of things that they have to embrace and etc. And if I was that reader and go, I know nothing about this book, why would I pick this up? And it's just, the Chapmans are telling me this. What am I going to get from it? Because as authors, um, you want it for the reader. A lot of
Yeah.
people tell their stories. That's great, but it's great for the authors to really make that connection to the reader. So, Chapman number 3.
Yeah. So what my dad mentioned earlier was that reflection piece and not necessarily a passive thing. And, I have spoken to myself, when it comes to life and, the journey that we're all on, reflection is extremely necessary. I'm a strong believer that a lot of times the answers are within. I know that sometimes we'll, try to search for that external thing that's like, okay, what can someone tell me what I need to do next? I need this thing to guide me? And, a lot of times the answers are inside of us. And, so I think with this, it really, helps the reader reflect back on, different experiences that they've gone through. It helps them, like I said, rewire their way of thinking about certain instances. And I also one of the quotes that really resonated with me was the growth begins on the other side of your comfort zone. And so that's
Oh,
one of
wow.
right. That's one of those where, it forces you to sit back and think, when were those times where I've grown the most? Was it when I was being coddled? Was it when I was, super comfortable, or when you were forced to kind of, do something different, act on the move, really figure things out. And so that's what I really like about it, is that it's not just the quote and then, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with this. So it's a, it's a good quote, but what can I do now? But it's the quote and the prompt and reflection piece in which, every book would look different for every reader. Everyone's been through different experiences, and every quote, every section, can relate to someone in a new way, in a groundbreaking way. They could talk about and write about it for ages. They could talk about it and write about it for 15 minutes, but it's all going to help the reader reflect and, really figure out that next step that they're looking to go into.
You know, I'm proud to hear that. And dad has got to be proud of son. Dad has got to be proud of son. And I'm going to share something with you guys. I've kept this fatherhood quote book that I have that I received from someone when I was teaching many, 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 many years ago. And I kept that book, but I didn't connect to it a lot because it wasn't spoken through the voice of a man of color.
Mhm.
And I think we as men of color put, I'll go back to something you said, more color, more depth, and it resonates more a little bit, whereas it was too surface like. It was not bad. I kept it. I kept it. So that's why I'm really excited about the fact that the two of you wrote it. How often, to our audience, you don't get to hear and get to see and have something that you can take away with that's written from a father and a son perspective, that they collaborated together. What a wonderful opportunity. So, with that said, I wanted to just talk about the collaboration because my son, he's probably close to your age too. We have never collaborated on a project other than he comes to help me out at the house. But this was and that's great. How has it been working together on Quotescriptions together and in deepening your guys' relationship? You could tell you already had a relationship. Son is in Texas, but he still communicates with dad. But y'all had to work on this together. And what would you say? And I don't mind whoever answers first, that you hope that fathers and sons that are out there right now, whether you have a great relationship with your son or not, this is an opportunity that this particular tool could be used as a father and son, seeing as a partnership and reading it together
Mhm.
as inspiration. What would you guys would like to share about the collaboration and about inspiration to other fathers and sons?
Yeah, I really want to piggyback on a point that you made. One of the things, especially when working with development of color organization, I think that, a lot of times, the father-son relationship, especially in our community, doesn't get highlighted in the best way. And so that was part of the inspiration, was that, for me, I thought there were only a couple of paths for me as a young man of color. If I didn't make it in sports or, doing music or something of the sort, then I felt like a failure, and then I didn't have that connection there, because that's all I really, at least as a young kid, that's all I really understood. And so to get to this point, and I talked about it in the beginning, like the acknowledgement section, I really believe that this is something that's, I want to kind of push, not just the book and the quotes and things like that, but the father-son relationship, especially where I am now, being in Texas and, being apart from family, 21 hours away, having this, and it's of interest to us both. It strengthens the relationship, and it shows us in a positive light. And so that's something that I think is huge, and that we need a lot more of, if we want to keep pushing the needle in the right direction.
Great to hear. And Dr. Chapman?
So it was, because we're in this space, it was, I don't know if I want to say surprisingly easy, but everything just went smoothly. It was just a easy back and forth. Okay, sharing emails back and forth. It was all just, it was painless. We had a couple hiccups with the print of the book. And, I kept Thomas in the loop, and I kind of got through this, and he just kind of saw what was happening, and I would share, okay, I got it. I'm sure he could see I was still not glued, but
You had to use some of your techniques.
I just, but he didn't have to get in, he didn't have to get involved in the red tape. I just worked through it, and he was there to as a listening ear, like, okay. I'm sure he knew I had it. But on a serious note, given where we are in this day and time, we need togetherness on all levels. And I think anytime fathers and sons have an opportunity to work together, and Thomas and I work together on food. I mean, I cater a lot of his events. I cook a lot. So we work together on food a whole lot. But with some of the problems that we are facing in this world, I think a father-son duo can be extremely powerful agent of change, especially working on some of the societal ills. So I think this is a good example to others who might be doing things together on other projects, maybe like building a car, building a house, building a porch. But what about building up individuals, building up communities? Can you work together to do that? And even with uh, my cake business and other ventures, I think about legacy. I'm going to put my name on it, and I want to get
There
my
you go.
children involved. It's not by happenstance. This is very strategic. But this just happens to work because Thomas is in this. So it's not like I had to drag him. He's in here. So it's really about making a change and also creating a legacy. And I'm so glad that he is in this space with me because it's serious work, but we're both very passionate about it. And I think we can probably do it in our sleep.
Yeah,
That's just
you can
how it
tell
is.
it. You can
Yeah,
tell it.
it's very natural for us. So that's probably why it was easy for us to do this. We can probably write all day and night and not get tired.
I want to say this to you guys because it's to our audience and listeners. This is phenomenal to see this kind of relationship about father son. Also, we talked about mental health. And then there's a takeaway by having that book to see those quotescriptions that can be a jump off point and to have techniques. And for that reader, that'll be important for them that they can do those reflections right inside of that. And their book is already available out there for folks to buy on Amazon and other places. But as we wrap up in this last minute, tell us what you want the readers to do, where you want them to go to get your book or et cetera, or any website you want to share out there with them about this book, that it's not going to be just something they can just put on a shelf, but they can use.
So people can order the book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and it will be available on many other platforms real soon. So stay tuned. But right now, you can go on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and get your copy of the book. And if you're so inclined and you're available, you can attend our book launch on August the 17th at the Kroc Center in Norfolk, Virginia from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we will have the book signing, and we will also have an empowerment session where we have an engaging discussion with some inspirational speakers. And we're hoping that that will be almost like a mini revival of sorts that we have paired with the book launch.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that, sharing that. And even if a listener pulls this up after August 17th, it will be available on Amazon and other platforms. That it's not a problem. I want to thank you guys for being here today. And thank you for sharing with us a lot about your process, your relationship, and passing on a legacy to others and inspiring fathers and sons to say, hey, we may do a lot of things together. Maybe we need to just do this together and reflect on who we are. I want to say thank you guys. And for all of my readers, listeners, and audience, TalentFRED says you got to triumph, achieve, lead, educate, nurture, and thrive. You can get all of that from this opportunity here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.